There's a pattern most people notice, but rarely stop to analyze deeply. The wealthiest people in the room are often the quietest. They aren't the loudest voices on social media. They aren't constantly announcing their plans. They don't argue in comment sections. They don't flex every win. They move in silence. And to someone watching from the outside, it can feel mysterious. Why would someone with money, influence, and power choose to stay quiet? The first reason is simple but uncomfortable. Silence protects power. When you speak too much, you reveal too much. You reveal your strategy, your intentions, your fears, your weaknesses. Information is leverage. The less people know about your moves, the less they can interfere with them. Wealthy individuals understand that the world is competitive. Markets shift. People compete. Opportunities are limited. When you announce your plans, before they are complete, you invite competition, criticism, and sabotage. Silence creates space to execute without distraction. Think about how often people talk themselves out of success. They announce a business idea before they build it. They tell everyone about their new goal. They broadcast every step, and then they either lose motivation from too much validation too early, or someone else takes the idea and runs with it faster. Quiet people avoid that trap. They build first. They speak later, if at all. Another reason rich people stay silent is emotional discipline. Most wealth is built not through emotional reactions but through calculated decisions. Silence is a sign of control. When markets crash, loud people panic. When trends rise, loud people chase. But the disciplined investor studies quietly. The business owner adapts quietly. The quiet mind sees clearly. The reactive mind doesn't. Consider someone like Warren Buffett. He is known for speaking thoughtfully and rarely, not impulsively. He doesn't react to every market headline. He doesn't jump into public arguments about daily fluctuations. He waits. He observes. He acts when logic, not noise, dictates action. That patience is built on silence. Silence also creates authority. When someone talks constantly, their words lose weight. But when someone speaks selectively, people lean in. They listen. The less frequent the message, the more valuable it feels. That's psychological. It's scarcity. If something is always available, it feels cheap. If it's rare, it feels important. Wealthy individuals understand perception. They understand brand positioning. Some of the most powerful figures don't need to constantly remind you they are powerful. Their results speak. Their silence amplifies curiosity. It creates mystique. It builds a reputation that doesn't rely on self-promotion but on performance. Look at someone like Bernard Arnault, the leader behind LVMH. You don't see him everywhere. You don't see daily emotional commentary. His influence operates through structured systems, not viral opinions. He builds empires while the world debates headlines. Silence also shields peace. Wealth changes your environment. When you have money, people approach you differently. Some want favors. Some want access. Some want validation. Some want a piece of what you have. The more visible and vocal you are, the more requests and noise you attract. Silence filters that. It reduces exposure. There's also a security element. Public attention is not always positive. The more you broadcast wealth, strategy, or personal details, the more you expose yourself to risk. Rich people are often advised to minimize unnecessary visibility, not because they are antisocial, but because attention has consequences. Then there's the social dynamic. When you speak less, you observe more. Listening gives you information. You understand how people think. You see patterns. You hear what others reveal unintentionally. In negotiations, silence is powerful. The person who talks first often concedes ground. The person comfortable with silence often controls the pace. Silence is a negotiation tool. It creates pressure. Humans feel uncomfortable with silence. We rush to fill it. We over-explain. We reveal too much. The disciplined person who remains calm and quiet lets others show their cards first. Wealthy individuals also understand that not every opinion needs to be shared. In a world where everyone broadcasts thoughts instantly, restraint becomes rare. And rare is valuable. When you don't react to every controversy, you conserve energy. You avoid unnecessary enemies. You stay focused on long-term goals rather than short-term validation. There's another layer to this. Many wealthy individuals operate on long-time horizons. They think in decades. Most people think in days or weeks. When your vision stretches 10, 20, 30 years into the future, you don't get distracted by daily arguments. Silence protects long-term focus. Consider Jeff Bezos. During the early years of Amazon, 4 years, Amazon operated at minimal profit while reinvesting aggressively. Critics were loud. Analysts doubted. Media questioned sustainability. Bezos didn't spend every day defending himself publicly. He stayed focused on infrastructure, logistics, and long-term dominance. The results spoke later. Silence also builds resilience. When you don't depend on external applause, you build internal confidence. If you constantly announce your moves and seek validation, your motivation becomes fragile. But when you operate quietly, your drive comes from internal standards, not public reaction. There is a psychological advantage here. Talking about success triggers a small dopamine reward in the brain. It feels good, it feels like progress. But sometimes, it replaces actual progress. Quiet builders avoid confusing talk with action. They let action be the only proof. Rich people also understand that controversy can be expensive. Words can move markets. Words can damage brands. Words can trigger legal consequences. When you hold significant assets, your speech carries weight. A careless statement can cost millions. So silence becomes a risk management strategy. Another reason for silence is strategic relationships. When you are wealthy, your network matters. Public opinions constrain partnerships. If you speak impulsively about politics, competitors, or social issues, you may alienate stakeholders. Silence keeps doors open. It preserves optionality. Optionality is power. The fewer positions you publicly lock yourself into, the more flexibility you retain. Wealth is often about flexibility. The ability to pivot, the ability to adapt. Loud declarations reduce flexibility. There's also a deep understanding among many wealthy individuals that true power doesn't need constant validation. Insecure power is loud. Secure power is calm. When someone is constantly reminding the world of their status, it can signal insecurity. Those who are comfortable rarely feel the need to broadcast. Consider Mark Zuckerberg. While he has public appearances, he doesn't spend his time arguing daily on social platforms, despite owning one of the largest. Decisions are made behind closed doors. Strategies unfold quietly. The machine runs regardless of commentary. Silence also helps avoid envy. Wealth attracts envy naturally. The more you display or discuss it, the more resentment you may trigger. Some wealthy individuals prefer to keep lifestyles understated, not because they lack resources, but because they value stability over attention. There's an old concept. Move in silence like lasagna. It's humorous, but the principle stands. The quiet layer holds everything together. Noise doesn't build wealth. Systems do. Structure does. Discipline does. Another element is cognitive bandwidth. Building and maintaining wealth requires decision-making at high levels. Every public interaction consumes energy. Every debate consumes attention. Silence protects mental space. It reduces unnecessary cognitive load. Look at someone like Charlie Munger. Known for his sharp thinking, he often emphasized the value of sitting quietly and thinking. Not reacting, not performing. Thinking. In a world addicted to constant expression, thinking has become rare. Silence also filters relationships. When you don't constantly speak about your assets or plans, people interact with you differently. You can observe who values you for you and who values access to what you have. Loudness can attract opportunists. Quietness often reveals authenticity. There's also the idea of delayed gratification. Wealth is often the result of doing uncomfortable things consistently without immediate reward. Silence supports that. When you are not announcing every step, You learn to endure the slow climb without applause. Social media has amplified the contrast. Many people associate visibility with success, but visibility and wealth are not always aligned. There are influencers who appear rich, but are leveraged. There are billionaires who live quietly in neighborhoods you wouldn't suspect. Silence doesn't trend, but it often compounds. Compounding is another key. Money compounds quietly. It grows slowly at first, then faster over time. Silence mirrors compounding. It's subtle. It doesn't scream. It accumulates. There's also the legal structure around wealth. Many affluent individuals operate through trusts, holding companies, layered entities. Discretion is part of the architecture. Public commentary can complicate negotiations, mergers, acquisitions. Silence simplifies complex deals. And then there's maturity. Over time, people who accumulate wealth often realize that not every battle is worth fighting publicly. Ego softens. Perspective broadens. When you've seen cycles rise and fall, you become less reactive. Silence doesn't mean ignorance. It doesn't mean lack of opinion. It means selective expression. It means choosing when speech adds value versus when it simply adds noise. We can look at Bill Gates. In the early Microsoft days, he was competitive and intense. Over time, as his focus shifted toward philanthropy, his communication became measured and structured. He speaks on specific issues aligned with his initiatives, not every trending topic. Wealthy individuals often operate through advisors, lawyers, accountants, PR teams. They are trained to understand risk exposure. Words are assets or liabilities. Silence reduces liability. Another layer is cultural. In many elite circles, understatement is a norm. Flaunting is seen as lacking sophistication. Quiet confidence signals belonging. Loud display signals insecurity. There's also a philosophical dimension. Many who achieve financial freedom eventually realize that peace matters more than proving something. The desire to win arguments fades. The desire to protect energy grows. Silence can also be a learning strategy. When you enter rooms with other high achievers, talking less allows you to absorb more. You hear strategies. You understand perspectives. You identify opportunities. Think about negotiations again. The person who is desperate to fill silence often weakens their position. The one who pauses, listens, and responds minimally often strengthens theirs. Silence creates gravity. It's important to note that not all rich people are silent. Some are very vocal, but many of the ones building durable, multi-generational wealth operate behind systems, not spotlights. There's also the distinction between private wealth and public fame. Fame thrives on noise. Wealth can thrive in quiet. The two sometimes overlap, but they are not the same. Silence also protects family. The more public you are about finances, the more pressure you place on children and relatives. Privacy shields them from external judgment and expectation. And consider this: when you are wealthy, you don't need to convince people you are capable. Your bank account doesn't require applause. Your portfolio doesn't require validation. That internal security reduces the need for external noise. Silence is also a filter against impulsivity. When you pause before speaking, you often catch emotions before they escape. Many financial disasters have followed emotional public decisions. Discipline prevents that. Another key reason is leverage. True leverage is built quietly. Strategic investments, equity stakes, partnerships. These don't require headlines during formation. They require confidentiality. In corporate environments, insider information laws restrict what can be said. Silence is not optional. It's required. Wealth often places you in proximity to sensitive data. There's also reputation management. One careless statement can overshadow decades of disciplined work. Silence minimizes that risk, and perhaps the deepest reason. The wealthy often understand that time is their most valuable asset. Arguments consume time. Public debates consume time. Explanations consume time. Silence conserves it. In the end, silence is not about arrogance. It's not about secrecy for its own sake. It's about efficiency, focus, protection, strategy, discipline, peace. When you see someone wealthy staying quiet, It doesn't mean they have nothing to say. It often means they are too busy building to announce it. They understand that the loudest person in the room rarely controls it. The calmest often does. And maybe that's the ultimate lesson. Noise attracts attention. Silence builds power.